Coach, obviously a tough loss on Saturday, but earlier in the week, get a really nice road win, first road win of the season, and put together back-to-back wins earlier in the week. Just recap last week for us.
Well, obviously, I think it was the tell of two stories. We go down to Western, and from an offensive standpoint, I think the game could be considered ugly. I thought defensively we were pretty good in that we never let them really get in rhythm. I thought that certainly helped us, and we were able to get to the foul line, which was at the end of the day I think became maybe the difference in the basketball game. Yet and still, they had an opportunity there at the very end of the game to get a shot up. But I thought our kids really stuck together and had some timely possessions. Eric gets a big bucket down the stretch. I thought Chris Bryant did a terrific job there in the last shot to wall up and defend. And so there were some things that went on during that game that I thought were really timely by multiple guys. Ollie Barnes hits a big shot later in a possession when we needed one. And so anytime you have a game like that and you take a look at it. I don't know if G and Eric, from an offensive standpoint, had their best games offensively, but yet and still we were able to find a way to win. So always good to be able to do that. And then, of course, you take a look at the Toledo game. It's interesting as you look at the stats. I think we took 54 shots that game, and I think Toledo took 55. So you talk about getting, shots. We had some turnovers. We got some shots. I think, the main difference is, one, they made their shots, and they shot the ball extremely well. And really, once they started making shots, I think they just really got into a comfort zone. We had some opportunities to make some shots there early. Well, we started off with some turnovers, which really didn't help us, but, had a couple shots that may have gone in and out. And then, of course, Eric and G both struggled. And, that's a hard game for us, particularly, I should say, against Toledo, who, from an offensive standpoint, has the capability of going to put up 80 points on any given day. So that you're going to have to be able to score some, and quite frankly, they did a terrific job on G and Eric defensively, and really making it hard for them and limiting their effectiveness. And so we really struggled offensively. We just couldn't put the ball in the hole. And of course, anytime you can't put it in the hole, it's a struggle, and that puts a lot of pressure on your defense.
You mentioned Ollie Barnes, walk on to the team, who's had to come in and fill kind of a big role while Eric's out and now Zach McCormick. Talk a little bit about the impact he's making.
Well, I think, Ollie's done a really good job of stepping up. You take a look, for instance, we were without Chris at Toledo, and so, you're always looking for someone to step up, and Ollie has started some games for us. Northern Illinois, I want to say it's Northern Illinois, makes some big shots for us there at the beginning of the second half. It's either Northern or Bowling. I apologize. And then, of course, he makes a big shot against Western, comes in, knocks down shot against Toledo. And I think more than anything, he's a young man that's really started feeling confident out on the court. Obviously, he started the year out. Right before the season, he hurts his knee, so then he has to have surgery, and he's out. So when he came back, he was 100%, I think, healthy, but there's also a mental component. Anytime you have a knee injury, and then, of course, anytime you come back from a knee injury, you tend to sort of favor it a little bit, sort of hobbles you, maybe your ankles are sore, and so he was beat up a little bit, and I think he's starting to come and round into shape, but it's been a long process. He and Zach were both out pretty much the same time with the same injury, and so it really made it tough, because you're talking about losing your backup point guard and then your third point guard. And then, of course, Zach ends up going out. Then we lose Eric. So now our third point guard is our point guard. And so he's been thrown into the fire. He's a confident kid. He's handled it well. Has he had some struggles? Well, yeah. I think anyone would have struggles. But he has really stepped up and has been able to be very productive for us and has really helped us.
prior to Saturday, you had gone 6 games without being out rebounded. Talk a little bit about the increased production on the boards for the Redhawks.
Well, you know, I mean, I think it's something obviously that we're stressing every day in practice, box outs, rebounds. You know, you look at the game Saturday. That one is hard from the perspective of judging the rebounding. One, they were making shots, so there's not a lot of rebounds, and we weren't making shots, so there's a ton of rebounds for them to get. So that one was, you know, they out-rebounded us, no question, but that one was a little bit hard to judge. But I think more than anything, we've started doing it more as a group. You know, you start looking at the rebounds. We've got more guys with 3 or 4, more of the guards. Obviously, Chris Bryant had been rebounding the ball at a really good clip, you know, anywhere from 8 or 9 boards a game. Even got double figures in rebounds. So I think the emphasis on it has been important for our group, and understanding that if we don't rebound, we really, really put ourselves in a tough position.
Looking ahead to Tuesday, see the Cardinals for the second time around. Preview Tuesday's game for us.
Well, obviously, Grunk, Witt, those guys have done Brian, those guys have done a terrific job. It's funny, you know, you take a look at last year, and I didn't realize, I think, you know, they went almost maybe even a calendar year without a win. From the point of starting conference play and then losing, and then to come back this year and they do that. But not only are they winning, but if you take a look, you know, they've won close games. They beat Western in overtime, beat Eastern Michigan in double overtime, and of course they beat us with, I think, 1.82 seconds to go in the game or whatever, make a big bucket to win it. So, you know, one, kudos to their group. I think when you look at them, they've got multiple people that have the ability to really, really shoot the basketball. They've been very good in the backcourt. Really, a couple of new faces, and, you know, Jeremy Tyler has really played well as of late, and Jeremy only played part of the season for them last year. Terrific kid, a kid that we actually recruited, comes from a terrific family. And then, of course, Ryan Weber, another kid that we're familiar with, we recruited, who you look at those two and what they've been able to bring, and the ability to shoot the ball. And obviously, Kiapwe is really shooting the ball extremely well. So, you know, you're talking about some guys that are able to put the ball in the hole. But, you know, I think one of the things that separates them is, you know, I don't know if Calhoun and House get enough credit for what they do for their team. They're both very good passers in the 4 or 5 spot. And so when they get the ball, not only are they good passers, but they're willing passers. And yet and still, they have the ability to put pressure on you and score a bucket, get you in foul trouble. And so, you know, they've got a really nice mixture of pieces, and particularly as you've watched it all come together here this year, and what they've been able to do. And so I think they're sitting at 7-5, and, you know, you could say if they lose the 3 close games, and, you know, they're 4-8, but the difference is they found a way to win, and I think that's what's impressive, you know, and in many ways I think, you know, they've probably been better on the road than they have at home, which is interesting. I think they're about 500 on the road, and they may be, I think they've got 500 at home, and I think maybe 4 wins on the road. But and a lot of times that could be guys locking in and guys really being focused. And so I'm sure with, you know, those guys coming in here, we're going to have to really, really play well. We're going to have to be focused, and obviously we're going to have to rebound and defend them, which is not an easy task because they've got 5 guys here in conference play that are averaging double figures, so that makes it hard. No one's averaging more than 12 points a game, but I think they've got 3 guys averaging 10 and 2 guys averaging 11. So if you start there, they're basically almost at 55, 60 points right there, so that makes it hard.
Further down the road, heading to Ohio for an afternoon game on Saturday. First time around seeing the Bobcats, but a team that's playing very well and has won its last 3 previous Saturday for us. Well,
I mean, they've got 3 kids that have really stepped up, but, you know, you take a look at what Antonio's doing. Wow, He's a candidate for definitely player of the year. They throw the ball inside to him, and he's able to really calm the game. He's able to, shoot the ball. And then, you look at what Jerron Simmons has brought to them, transfer from Houston, terrific, kid, very good player, and recruited him also. It's funny, a lot of these guys we recruited, but I think he's come in and he's really settled down the team, and he's averaging, I think, 7 or 8 assists a game. And so he runs the show for that team. And then, of course, you look at Kaminsky, who gives him presence and who's also able to shoot the ball from the outside, as well as Dardis, who comes in and is able to shoot, and then Trexetti. And so you're talking about a team that, has the ability to pass the ball. You're talking about a team that has the ability to shoot the ball. I happened to catch some of their game against Buffalo this past week at Buffalo, and they just really, really shot the basketball. I mean, it was a display. And so that is a strength of theirs, but yet and still they can throw the ball inside and be productive. And so not only are we going to have to defend and rebound, but we're going to have to try to figure out how to defend them from the three-point line. I think if you take a look, both teams we play this week really shoot the ball well, and they know who they are. And so obviously going up there, it should be fun. But, we've got a lot of business to take care of before we get there.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thanks, Ange.